Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Houston Kilby YouTube channel. Let's get to it.
Alright guys, we're headed out to the garage right now. We're about to knock out that wheel opening project so we can get the wheels off that GTO. And when you're going to work on GTO, you got to be wearing a GTO shirt. Just saying. Before we do that, let's hit the drawing board and let's get after it. Okay guys, I thought I'd go into a little bit of detail here on explaining how I got my measurements and why I marked it where I marked it and the reason for it. So here we go. Alright, so first off, I had to pinpoint the center line for the wheel opening. Okay, so what I done was we measured from here to here, and we took the center dimension of that and we transferred it up to here. And the easy way of doing that is just taking a string with a plumb bob on the end of it, and you can hang it down, and wherever that center line falls at, bam, you mark. So once we had that, we came over here to our sides and said, well, we need to come back so far to give us enough room, because we know once we cut this piece out, we're going to have to cut an inch off this side, and we're going to have to cut an inch off on this side. We do not want to cut any of the existing quarter once we've cut this out. Reason for it, we want to keep our body lines matching up with this piece when we go to put it back in. Alright, so we've determined we've got enough room over here on this side, we've determined we got enough room over here on this side, and before we even cut this piece out, we want to transfer the same information over onto the other side, because if you don't and you go ahead and cut all this out and then you try to go over on the other side and do that one, you're going to miss dimensions and your wheel openings are not going to be parallel to each other. So what you do on one side, you got to do it on the other side. So we've got both sides completely drawn up now. We've got our marks on it where we want to cut at, and we know we're going to need to extend this opening 2 inches out. Okay, so we've got our marks where we need to cut it at. We know where our body lines are, what's going to work for us. So we cut this piece out. We're going to move on down here. The piece is now in the floor, and this is our center line right here. We know it's going to have to be cut right here, and we know we're going to have to cut an inch off on each side. So here's 1 inch we're going to cut off. We're going to cut off the other inch over here. So now that those pieces are cut off, we know now it's ready to put back up into here. It's that simple. You're going to transfer the same setup onto the other side when you go to do it. Now I know there's many ways of doing this, and I'm sure I probably could have went into more detail, but I thought this was just enough to get by and give you guys a little bit of heads up on how I did this here. But it's pretty simple. Everything worked out really nice. All my body lines matched up really nice. Luckily the opening on my car isn't as hard to deal with as like what a 57 Chevrolet is, where it's kind of a teardrop looking shape. But it turned out pretty nice and turned out pretty good. Both sides matched up real nice, and now I can get my wheels on and off. But I just thought I'd get on the drawing board here and give you guys some information. Alright guys, here we go. We are rolling right now. Just now started cutting out this fender here, and all I'm using is just using a grinder with a cut-off wheel on it. And this is a very slow process right here, trying to get everything cut off nice and straight, and I won't bore you with all that. But anyways, we got it now cut out. Those white lines you see on this panel now are the lines I'm going to be cutting out. Okay, so we're going to make clearance on the inside of the panel there for the wheel opening, and we're going to be taking our inch off on the outside and on the other side there, right there. So we're going to take an inch off on each end. So here we go. We now have an inch off on each side, and the inside cut out and the centerpiece cut. And look at that opening. And here we go. We've got it back on there, and you can kind of see everything getting mocked up right here. And let's get attacking this thing in. And that piece you see me holding in my left hand there, that is just a flat piece of aluminum. What that does is that gives you kind of a backstop there when you're putting a tack in. Rocking and rolling right now. We got this side right here getting really close right here. We just kind of got everything just kind of tacked in, and you can just kind of see all the tacks there. And what I've done is I've just got this panel nice and lined up, nice and smooth right through here. And you want to be able to use the least amount of Bondo as possible on panels like this, because it stands out a mile long, and plus I just don't like Bondo. So trying to get all this stuff as really as smooth as possible. And that side's getting really close. What I've done is, once I've got it really close, those little clamps you see me using, I just kind of moved them over here on this side, because this side was going to take a little bit more work to get in. It didn't fit as tight as what that side did, so I got this one tacked in first, and moved on over into here to work on this one right here. But I thought I'd just give you guys a kind of little preview of what I'm doing right here, and of course, as soon as we get this one done, move on to the other side and get that one done, and then these big meats right here will fit in there really nice and neat. I know a lot of you guys was probably wondering how I was going to fill in that centerpiece there, and luckily I'd kept my old quarter that came off the car, and there's not too much articulation there in the radius, and I could actually use some of the old original pieces out of the old quarter, and it worked out really nice. It filled in really smooth, and I mean, you really can't even see that there's much of a difference there, and it worked out nice. It saved a lot of time, and it saved a lot of work as well. But I thought I'll show you guys these neat little tools right here that I'm using to help hold the panels in place. I'll put a link down in the description of them, but these things work really nice, and they help keep the panels lined up and keep them straight. It's almost like having 3 or 4 sets of hands there. Alright guys, so moment of truth. We just got done getting everything welded up on this beast. We got our new big opening here to get these big tires off. And the whole reason for doing all this, of course, is so I can get these tires off. The problem I was having, this wheel opening isn't a perfect circle. So what happens is when the wheel opening gets right in here, it curves back in. Well, originally this curved back in was actually touching right in here, so close to my wheel. As soon as you pulled the nuts off of the studs, pulled the wheel back, you're touching the fender, you couldn't get the wheel off. Now, what I could do, I could have the car jacked up real high like it is, and I could drop the rear end real far down, and I could get the wheel off with another person's help and letting all the air out the tire. And it was so hard to get the tire off, it was insane. So I talked to Blaine, he's like, hey, how can I fix this issue? So what he came up with is like, hey, let's take an inch out on each end, and which is a total of 2 inches. You can see our 2-inch piece we put back in the center, and now we got a real big opening, and it's really clean looking. Once all this gets filled back in, you won't even be able to tell that we even did it. But moment of truth, let's see if we can get this beast off. Bam, look there. We just got our tire off, no problem at all. That is very easy right there. Air is still in them. This is a big help right here, and we'll be able to really save a lot of time at the track. Or if I ever have a problem on the road, I can get the wheels and tires off without too big of an issue. But another good thing for today. Hope you guys have a good one. Okay guys, that wraps up this week's video. I hope you enjoyed this first edition of the Builder series. I'm going to start here on my 66 Goat. But if you guys would, leave me a like and subscribe to the channel. And also comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. And until next time, you guys have a good one.